In the last issue, Peter Parker had his heart broken and his spirit shattered by the Scion of inevitable death, but will Phil Coulson, the new Master Death, be just the person to shake him out of this funk? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 65, Point Deaths, a special issue, and find out. So then, as we join the book, we're treated to an excerpt from the early years of a young Phil Coulson. Apparently, he found his dead grandfather, and this memory would end up becoming a major watershed moment in his life moving forward, even after he became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., because that was the day that he first made an acquaintance with death. But hey, this book is called Spider-Man, not Phil Coulson, right? So as we check on in with Peter, we see that he is still very much dejected and despondent following his battle with the Scion of inevitable death. So much to the point he's absolutely willing to chuck the whole champion of magic thing and walk out on Doctor Strange and his mission. No word on how exactly Sorcerer Supreme Dr. Doom feels about Spider-Man quitting. I mean, after all, he was the one who forced the job on him and everything. Strange feels that if it's death that's getting Peter down so much right now, then it should be Death who fixes the problem. Yeah, that's right, Ghost Strange can actually totally see Coulson, which shocks him a little bit because, well, no one's supposed to see Death until it's their time. At first, Coulson wants to stay out of it, saying as Death he probably shouldn't take sides in the deeper cosmic matters, only for Doctor Strange to honestly burn him pretty good by saying, dude, you're Death, not the Watcher. What on earth made you think you couldn't take sides? In fact, the whole reason that you, Phil Coulson, former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., died and was resurrected as the spirit of death has to be for some particular reason, right? Otherwise it would be a massive coincidence. Maybe talking Spider-Man back from the edge was always meant to be your great cosmic mission. Maybe this is why you were chosen to be Master Death in the first place. And indeed, after thinking it over for a little bit, Phil does begin to wonder if there really is a greater calling behind him being Death, and maybe he can do some greater good by talking some sense into Spider-Man. Of course, here's where things get really interesting, as Peter is very quick to say, yeah, thanks for trying to help me out and everything, Coulson, but you don't know me, man. We barely hung out when you were alive. And indeed, this is also true. When Phil Coulson was alive, he was a major super fan of superheroes and superhero ephemera, but he didn't really get to know many of them on a personal level. But hey, that is one of the upsides of being Master Death. He can actually get to know people pretty damn quick. If Peter is willing to open up his heart and mind to Death, then Phil can look inward and get a better understanding of who Peter is, his struggles, his personal history, by seeing all the different times that he has been touched by death, and admittedly, it's been quite a few times. Once again, we're treated to two really nice little splash pages that give us basically a greatest hits compilation of all the saddest deaths in Peter Parker's life. His parents when he was a boy, Uncle Ben, Gwen Stacy, George Stacy, Jean DeWolf, even Norman Osborn himself getting impaled by his glider, and then Harry later on. Yeah, some of them came back only to die again. But all these deaths, all this loss left a very undeniable mark on Spider-Man. It changed him. And now, after his run-in with the Scion of inevitable death, Spider-Man is starting to wonder if any of it actually matters at all in the grander cosmic scheme of things. Or if they're all just insignificant specks of dust in the wind. Basically, he got hit by one giant nihilism bomb and has yet to recover from the fallout. Coulson tries his hardest to offer the web swinger solace, saying that yes, Peter has suffered more death in his life than your average person, but that, you know, there's been a lot of good, positive things that come with being Spider-Man and being a hero too. Things worth defending and worth preserving for the next generation of Spider people, though still, Peter is in a deep, dark hole and can't quite pull himself out. Eventually, Coulson starts to wonder if everyone is wrong. Maybe he wasn't chosen for a reason. Maybe the universe really is as cruel and random and unforgiving as Peter's newfound nihilism would lead him to believe. It's after that, though, we end up seeing the second part of Coulson's childhood flashback, a part of which even he himself struggled to remember until right now. You see, on the day that his grandfather died, Coulson quite literally saw the face of death itself. Which, as I said before, should be impossible. In fact, even Death himself kinda had to do a double take that this little insignificant Coulson kid could see him, someone who's not a mutant or a psychic or had any amazing powers whatsoever. In a way, Death was just kinda happy to have someone to talk to. He said that at the end of the day, Death is not really a bad guy, but just part of a bigger cosmic order. For you see, everything alive has been touched by death, has been affected by it. In fact, whenever we are met by death, it's almost as if we're split in two, a new version of us, one affected by the tragedy and one not, and yet when we ourselves die, we are all reunited, every version of ourselves. All part of a great whole. Yes, death is bad, death is tragic, and it hurts, but at the end of the day, it is the high cost of living and all the joys and loves and wonders therein. Life is a tapestry, and death is just another part of it. In fact, would Spider-Man even be the hero we all know and love were he not affected by so much death? Would he be as kind, as understanding, as responsible? Coulson sure doesn't think so, but at the end of the issue, the sad fact still stands that death seems to be the very thing that created Spider-Man, but also broke him entirely. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 65.des, an issue that I found more interesting than I actually found good, if that makes any sense. This isn't really much of a Spider-Man story, it's honestly more about trying to get over Master Death Phil Coulson, which again is a thing that I didn't even know happened because I wasn't reading those Infinity Stone books, and in fact I don't know anyone who actually was. And yeah, there's definitely something fun about Phil Coulson, superhero superfan, being forced to be this macabre therapist trying to help Spider-Man through a rough time. In fact, this book is way more about Coulson than it actually is about Spider-Man himself. I think my biggest problem with this story is that, one, nothing is actually really solved by the end of this issue. Spider-Man is still in his rut and will need to dig himself out of it over in the main book. And two, this whole thing really felt like it probably would have been better served being part of an epilogue from the actual main issue number 65, or maybe a backup story, not its own special issue. The art is also really inconsistent with the rest of the Amazing Spider-Man 8 Deaths series so far, which again, it's a spin-off special tie-in issue, so I don't expect it to be one-to-one, but still it's going to be weird when this all gets collected later. Ultimately, I would say none of this is particularly bad, but not exactly required reading anyway. Maybe pick it up only if you're a huge fan of Derek Landy's other work, or maybe because you're a big Coulson fan and want to see more of what's going on with him. Overall, a 6 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.